is up, Elevate? It's Matt here, and it's Labor Day weekend, so we're going to keep it short and sweet today. But I want to ask you guys a question. I don't know if it's still around today, but one of the toys that came out when I was a kid was Stretch Armstrong. This was the toy that like every boy wanted, and I never actually got a chance to get one, but my friend had one. And we used to, like, I would take one arm and he'd take the other, and we would stretch that thing out and we'd tie it up in knots. And it was amazing to watch how it would always return to its normal shape. And last week we kicked off this series called Stretch. And it's fun to watch like physical transformations, like stretching, Stretch Armstrong. It's fun to watch those happen, but that is not what this series is about. This series is about spiritual transformations. And last week we kicked off the series by talking about a guy named Paul who authored the book of Romans. And he wrote this letter to the Christians who lived in the city of Rome. And really what we're talking about is how Scripture can be a catalyst or help stretch and grow our faith. Remember, we talked about how if our faith is a muscle, if it's like a muscle, how do we grow and strengthen that muscle? And a lot of times that happens through spiritual habits. Spiritual habits that we know are good for us, but sometimes we don't want to do. Let me tell you about one time I developed a new spiritual habit. I had some friends right out of high school that we decided we were going to start a Bible study together. And it was awesome. I was super excited. I know that like community is really good for me, that God has designed me to be in community with other people. And I know that it's good for me to read Scripture. So I'm like, yeah, this group sounds amazing. There was one problem. They met at IHOP on Tuesday mornings at 6 a.m. And it was like not something that I wanted to do. But some of these guys were older than I was, and they had jobs to get to and things like that. And I was just this 19-year-old kid. I didn't want to do it. Nothing ever excites me about getting out of bed at 6 a.m. But you know what? I did it. I did it anyway. I committed to it, and I followed through with it. And I will tell you this, Elevate, I experienced so much spiritual growth in that season of my life because I knew that I was being challenged by my friends. I was being challenged in community, and we would help each other grow and challenge each other to grow. And we would speak the hard truth when it needed to be spoken. And we read Scripture together. Now, sometimes starting a new spiritual habit is really hard to do. Last week we talked about how we make a commitment to start something new and hopefully follow through with that commitment. And this week I'm talking about starting something new. Start a new spiritual habit. Because I will tell you, in the middle of quarantine, it is really easy to fall into a rut and get out of habits that you've already developed. But it's also a great opportunity to develop some new habits. And here's why I say it. Because developing new habits can be the catalyst to spiritual growth in your life. Now, this week, Paul, in chapter 12 of Romans, it's a longer portion, but I want you to hang with me because it's so good. Here's what Paul says in Romans chapter 12, verse 9 through 18. He says, don't just pretend to love others. I love that verse. Don't just pretend to love others. Really love them. Hate what is wrong. Hold tightly to what is good. Love each other with genuine affection. And take delight in honoring each other. Never be lazy, like me not wanting to get out of bed for my small group. Never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. Rejoice in our confident hope. Be patient in trouble and keep on praying. When God's people are in need, Get ready or be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Don't curse them. Pray that God will bless them. Be happy with those who are happy and weep with those who are weep. Live in harmony with each other. Don't be too proud to enjoy the company of ordinary people. And don't think that you know it all. Then in verse 17, he says, never pay back evil with more evil. Do things in such a way that everyone can see you are honorable. Do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. So if we were to read those verses and almost grade ourselves like it's a test, how would you say you do? Because doing these things is a spiritual habit. It is learning to love others. If you were to grade yourself, as I read through that, how would you grade yourself? Do you find yourself being fake to other people and just pretending to like them when they're around? Do you love other people with genuine affection? Do you celebrate with those who are celebrating? And do you join in the sadness with those who are experiencing loss? Do you create a hospitable environment when people are in need? Are you always ready to help? And I think it's interesting that Paul starts this section of verses with don't just pretend to love others, really love them. I almost wish that he finished this passage with that verse, because it's like you read through all of these things and then don't just pretend to love others, really love them. See, spiritual habits have the power to become a catalyst for spiritual growth in our lives. And if you don't know, catalyst is like a spark. It's a spark that gets fuel and energy and turns into like a burning fire of desire within us. Developing new habits can be this catalyst for spiritual growth in our lives. And right now, it really is an opportunity. Some of us have viewed this season as more of an obstacle, but I want to challenge you to view this season as more of an opportunity to develop some new habits, because they can be catalytic in your spiritual growth. Paul knew that. That's why he shares that. That's why he says you should be transformed by the renewing of your mind. How do we renew our minds? We renew our minds through spiritual habits, through spiritual disciplines. And so, as I read that passage, or maybe as you read it again in small groups, or as you think about the different ways and areas that God is challenging you, what new habit do you think that God is maybe inviting you to start in this season?